for that as well. But tonight we have Nils here to talk. Nils is from BiVACOR, a medical company down the Gold Coast. He's here to talk to us about .NET Aspire. So could everyone please welcome Nils.
Thank you. Very happy to be here tonight with you guys. So I'll present myself quickly. I'm an electronic engineer with 3 years of experience in software development. And as been presented, I work at BiVACOR down the Gold Coast. I wanted to talk to you about .NET Aspire tonight because I've came across it, didn't really understand what it was, and when I heard people talking about it around me, I felt like I wasn't the only one. And so today I thought it was a good opportunity to learn and get to know new things. So today I'll share with you a bit my results. The objective of this presentation today is to get a broad understanding of what .NET Aspire is. There is a lot to cover, so we'll brush the surface on many things. I wish I could have done a bit more details, but I prefer to keep it simple for you guys so that everybody get a clear idea. .NET Aspire is a lot about improving the dev experience and so we'll show what pieces of .NET Aspire you can bring into your application today and how you can benefit from it. And finally, Aspire is still has its own development cycle, and deployment and testing is still a work in progress, and so we'll discuss that. We'll see why. And I don't want to recommend .NET Aspire as to do everything solution because it's not there yet, and so I just want to bring this conscious to everybody here. So to address the objectives, we'll start with a quick introduction of .NET Aspire is. Then we'll introduce each component one after the other in a simple demo. And finally, we'll discuss about this deployment I just mentioned before, the vision for the end of the year, and finally extract some key takeaways. So that next time, you have a good understanding of what .NET Aspire is. So, .NET Aspire. When Microsoft first, the core idea behind .NET Aspire is they wanted to work on distributed applications, and they were thinking, what are the main challenges today when working with distributed applications? And what they saw is sometimes to bring the code to your local machine and run it. It could be challenging in configuration and it could take a day or two just setting up your environment. And so .NET Aspire is here to solve that. It's adapted to cloud native services, so it leverages a lot containers. So you can use Docker Desktop or Podman as runtimes. And if you're about to start a new app that will be a distributed application, then .NET Aspire will be something I will recommend. And also it helps existing apps being cloud adapted. I made it up, cloud adapted. It's just .NET Aspire has this cool core idea that it's based on modules, and you can bring whatever you want. It's opinionated, which means they have a solution, they give it to you, but you don't have to follow their way. So that's a cool thing to know. So, the presentation of components, we'll start with the first one. It's called the service default. It will bring 2 things to applications. It will bring observability and resiliency. There are obviously concerns that you have when you build a distributed application. You want to see what's going on. You'll be able to log and trace your calls. And once again, in a local machine, that sometimes can be difficult. So for that, I will start the demo. The demo is pretty simple. It's a Blazor app call with an API, and we'll see what issue it has, and we'll add the service default to try to solve it. So this is, so the application, you can recognize it. It's a basic Blazor app. And what I added is like this button, fetch data, which will call the API and get new weather data. This call is here to simulate a case when you build an application on the cloud. It's like sometimes your instance you're calling is probably unhealthy or is too busy and doesn't get you answers. So when I click on it, sometimes an error occurs, sometimes not, sometimes yes. So here, yeah, it's a bit more random than that. It's not 1/2. And you could see in the terminal that we have sometimes some $500 raised somewhere in there. Yeah, here, I got one. Here, for example. So we'll stop there, we'll close, and we'll add the service default to our solution. Here it is. So when you type Aspire, you can see you get the app host, and the service default is one of them. It's written in French, don't try to translate. Sorry about that. Sacre bleu, service default. So yeah, I'm adding service default in there. And what it has, you can see it's very simple. It just has like a single class. And in there, it has an extension method to the host application builder. And it's this guy who will bring in the observability and resiliency I mentioned before. Observability, it will be able to configure OpenTelemetry. It will be able to also add some health checks. Service discovery. This is the last component we'll discuss today. OpenTelemetry and health checks also will be brought in when we'll talk about the next component. What we are interested in here for our application is this guy, the standard resilience handler. You can see it's called on the configure HTTP client defaults. And so what it will do, it will bring resilience to our application. Behind the scene, behind this method called it's Poly, and Poly is a tool for .NET. I'm not sure if it's .NET specific, but its main goal is to address resilience and define some politics and resilience politics. So,
Sorry, can you just like bump up the font?
of course. Yeah, sure.
An old man is going to see.
Middle left. At the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right. 200%? No. Yeah, is that better like this? Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. So to add it, we'll just create a new reference to our web and our API services. I'll go to a program, and here on the builder as is an extension method. All right, I'm just going to add this guy. And I'm going to do the same for our API. Cool. So we'll restart the app. Go to our weather app and fetch data. I'm clicking on it. You can see sometimes it takes some more time because behind the scenes it detects the 500 response and it retries. And that's the resiliency we're talking about. You just get one error, but it will give it a bit of a go in case it's a temporary issue. You can see that as well in the traces. You can find the keyword poly. That's what's running under the hood. So that's pretty much about the service default. We'll go back to our presentation. Stand. So yeah, that's it. A second brick, a second component of .NET Aspire is the app host. This one will allow us to orchestrate our application and has also a local dashboard. You've probably seen it if you Google .NET Aspire or came across .NET Aspire before. The dashboard, the local dashboard, is one of the main features because it allows to be plugged in to the observability we implemented in the service default. So let's take our solution and we'll add the app host this time. Tag. App host. Go ahead. Right. So in the properties of my solution.
We're not seeing it yet.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you. So in the properties of my solution, before that, I requested to launch the app and the API. Now I'm going to turn them down and just ask to launch the app host only. And the app host is the one that will be orchestrating my application. So to do so, it needs a reference to the projects he wants to launch. So I'm going to do that. Then what I'm going to do is ask him to launch that. So projects dot, and you can see he found a reference to the two projects. That's because there is code generation behind the scenes. So I will ask him to launch the API. Up. And I will ask him to launch the web application as well. Right. Now I can just say app host and start. So what it's going to do now is going to orchestrate the two projects, launch the API, launch the web application, and also launch the dashboard you can see here. You can find our two projects here. It uses the health checks to actually check both our apps are running and are healthy, and it gives you a link to the local host URLs. We can go back to our fetch data and keep clicking on this one, try to trigger some errors, and the local dashboard will allow you to see some structured data, some logging and tracing. So it will have the console. With the web, you can see again those poly calls when he retried, facing the error. And in a structured way, you could also see some more messages of what's happening in your application. And in the traces, you can actually see how a request has been processed throughout your application. For our application, these are obviously not very insightful. We know where it's going to go. But once again, once in a distributed application, this call can be could have multiple elements he goes through. So yeah, this really takes up this power in the distributed application world. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the app host. So to get those metrics and those tracing, it's using the service default we added on the first step. All right. Okay. No. One thing I didn't mention in this for the app host, it allows you to also launch your project, but you also orchestrate your backend and your front end. If you have like a Node.js app you want to launch, you can run it. If you have some executables, yeah, you can run them as well, and containers, local containers. So that's the app host we just added. Now we're going to see the last core components of .NET Aspire before moving to integrations. Here I'm going to talk about the service discovery. It's the one I mentioned before. And service discovery, you can think about it as connection strings as names. You could see that in our app host, we gave them little names, API, web. Well, we'll be able to reuse those names within our application. That's why we call a service discovery, because it will not read the connection string from the configuration. .NET Aspire will allow you to read that name and actually get your URL from it. It does this through environment variables, if ever you ask yourself this question. So, this is the two names we just did before. So what we're going to do is just, for it to work, you need to obviously specify that in your code. And this keyword is with reference. With reference will create the environment variable and do the plumbing for you. So it's not the name, it's the actual, well, that. And to read it in your application, so we read it from the web. Currently, we're just reading into the configuration, an URL we stored there, but now we're just going to tell him to ignore that and write it this way. Just as a name. Seems a bit like a magic string, but. And now we're running again. And our app is still working. Oof. As I said, he didn't like get rid of the connection strings. He just stored them in an environment variable. I think you can find them. You can find them back. View the details of the API. Yes. Oh, yeah. The fonts. Sorry. I thought I messed up the duplication again. This one will be Control Plus. Oh my goodness. Hotel trace. So no, they will be in the web app. View details. Here they are. So they have one for HTTP and one for HTTPS. So tomorrow, if in my configuration of my API, app settings, no, that's the one, launch settings. So tomorrow, if I change this URL, then I don't have to update my web application as well. This will be like seamless. So yeah, it's a pretty nice feature. All right. So, yeah, service discovery, connection strings as names. You can. I don't know if you've come across this, but I picture myself and working on the cloud and having all of those services that could change, that could be set in different instances, and if they change URL, then I have to manage it by myself through a piece of code. So I found that .NET Aspire really helps in those scenarios. So to wrap it up, was all the core components of what .NET Aspire is. As we saw, it's pretty opinionated. It gives you, if you want resiliency, it gives you poly. If you want to do telemetry and logging and metrics, it gives you open telemetry. And but it also like doesn't tight you in anything. All of those are like NuGet packages, and even though even like if you don't like the local if you don't like the local dashboard or the way the service default is set up, you can just bring the NuGet package and take whatever you want in it. Right. Now we have our application, and it's good. It helps us plotting the forecast, but now we want to add a new cache. And .NET Aspire, as its core aim, is to improve your local development and help you get rid of this configuration burden. It gives you ability to integrate components. And this is an example with Redis. And so an integration will be composed, most of the cases, of two packages, one for the app host and one for the client. Think about the host. So for your local environment, it will be able to pool containers and run them for you. This with just one line of code, a bit similar to when we added the project to our app host orchestrator. It will just one line, and it will bring a container image with Redis inside it. Then the client package will be the one shipped with the application, and we'll be able to interact with this container. It does that configuration through the app host and through environment variables. I want to specify here that the client integration and the app and the host integration are not coupled. You can take one and not the other. And as part of all the other integrations, they also benefit from the service default we saw. So they also have this observability and resiliency built in with them. Redis is not the only one. There is about like 35 other integrations available. Some are supported by Microsoft, Postgres, RabbitMQ, as listed here, and others also have been managed by a community, and they are listed, named as Community Toolkit. And part of them are Llama, Java, and Python. And so basically, you could have a React front end and a Python back end, and orchestrated by the .NET Aspire thing. Why would you do that? I don't know, but you can. Yeah, service default is attached to all of these, and the aim of .NET Aspire, one of them is also about to give you all those great tools built in to help you and your business getting ahead using the latest tools. But it also aims for businesses, if they have specific executables that are part of their setup in their environment, is to create their own NuGet package. It's to create their own NuGet package, and then can be reused throughout the team, that will be able to abstract this complicated configuration and be easily pluggable in your application. To express that idea of how easy it is to set up your local environment, how much it reduces your time to F5, I just picked the standard eShop example from Microsoft. So I wish I could have done the presentation from end to end, from cloning it to actually just press F5. But obviously, like, you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. So all what I had to do is to get Docker Desktop or Podman, and I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit so we can see. So remember, it has like all those components. It had like a RabbitMQ bus. It has webhooks. It has Postgres. It has Redis. So I'm just running this, and it should eventually spin things up for us. Unless Docker desktop is not running properly.
May I ask a question while we're waiting?
Well, it uses RabbitMQ event bus, and it uses the Postgres, and I don't have anything installed like this on my machine. So what it does, it actually downloads a container image and spin it up for me on my local machine. I haven't like set up anything yet, and I haven't configured anything. So,
Yeah, I was saying.
oh, sorry.
Question when
Why?
waiting. Yeah.
Oh, when are we waiting? I thought they said, why are we waiting? I was like, come on. That's all.
One question as well.
He asked when, but then you said the why. I'm with you. May I assume when you use the, you add the projects into your app host and you launch all those projects, they are still local instance. The Aspire does not actually pack them up as a like a Docker container and deploy it somewhere and run it. It's still a local instance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's a
that
local
means
instance.
if you do, you change your source code and you have to stop it and rerun again, it does not have any like a hot reload and stuff.
Hot reload is still available. It's still possible. And you can also, you can see, you can still stop the process of either one of the project you're launching. You can do your update and do and restart it and do a hot reload there and relaunch it, and it will take in your changes. Yeah.
You still need to stop and rerun.
I've done the test with stopping and relaunching. I haven't done the test with just like this running, but it will be a good test, I think. I figure it will be the similar. So yeah, Eve set up everything for us, and we can have a look at the web app, and yeah, everything is set up for us. I haven't had to install anything. All I had to do is git clone F5, and it spins everything for me, and I can start working. So that's the benefit of it. That's, I think, what the most people who have been using .NET Aspire is like, or like really enjoying, because yeah, we can have a look at the program.cs. It does all of this configuration, but it's still just code. It's configuration as code. So, yep. Actually, it just what it says is really probably not that relevant. It's just, you see, reuse with reference to use our service discovery with external endpoints is just to mention to be open on the internet, and it's just code. It's pretty easily readable, and once again, for your business, if you have a specific setup that you have to do, and one of you guys know how to do it, but you can encapsulate it into a NuGet package, and then you can just bring it in there in your app host. I guess that's the aim. Yeah.
To cut down on the magic strings, is there a system built in to like register to like a registry for your like basket API, identity API, and so on?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. So the question is there a registry for all those magic strings? And I don't think there is. I'm not sure if you use the same, if it will like warn you that this string is already in use. I'm not sure if there is any watchdog on that. But you could use const, just a good old const. Yeah, good old const. Sorry.
You can have another class library with all your constant strings, but when you add it as a reference to app host, you have to put a little thing in the project reference to tell it that it's not a like a service that you're running. So it's a special tag on the XML that you've got to tell it. That way you can then reference those constants.
But it sort of becomes like chicken egg argument, which comes first, the string or the key. At some point you have to, because they're not going to give you generics out of the box, you're going to have to hard code something somewhere. We kind of shift the boundaries in DevOps by moving that as an environment variable in some Octopus deploy or DevOps. But inevitably always comes down to someone typing the script.
I wish we had a mic to get all your feedback.
My voice is annoying, so so I have a question though.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I hate breaking the momentum, but I'm just trying to like, because .NET team have a terrible job these days of positioning that any product they put out there, they kind of say here's a science project, and then just goes, what the hell just happened? This to me seems like it's a combination between the DevOps and the resource group offline, and it orchestrates your Docker containers, and it just does all that sort of heavy lifting for you. So that you just keep stacking modules or projects is what they call it, as you go. So that the development team can all see the same set of environment and the same set of conditions you work on.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And as you said, so to repeat, the question is, it started with the development team has done a terrible job when they put out a new product explaining what it is. And it is what happened with .NET Aspire when it first came out. People brought up like resources and aim to streamline the development of distributed applications. Big buzzwords like this, like 1,000 adjectives, and it's like we didn't really know what it was. And yeah, it's a platform you can target to help you tool your application and help you get away from this configuration burden and let it do the heavy lifting for you. It's not perfect though. I clicked. I got it wrong. Étant dupliqué. Is it this one? No, this one. So yeah, it's not perfect. There's still a lot of work to do on the deployment. So I will show you how it is done today. So today your deployment steps, you can run a command on the app host project. This command line, it will put out a manifest.json. This manifest.json is listing all what's happening in your Aspire app, so what they call resources, and they list it up in there. And inside them, they describe environment writables, some like with its own language and all reference inside, which is like pretty a little learning curve to get into. And then with this manifest.json, you put it into the Azure Dev CLI or Aspire 8. But like we all have probably CI/CD pipelines already in place. How do we now manage this new JSON and integrate it with all the other existing app we are using in our CI/CD? Now I have a way to press right-click, publish, and up it will be in Azure Container Apps. Okay, but in my business, we have other things we need to do, and we can't just do that. So it feels like they had to brought up a way for you to be able to publish to Azure very easily. They just supported Azure Container Apps at the start. So there's still like more tooling that needs to be brought in for the deployment steps. And I'm not even and testing as well. I didn't even do like a slide on testing. There is almost like nothing to say. There is one command line that allows you to one method that allows you to spin up your app host, and then you can send requests to it, and that's it. So no specific tooling on that point, but it keeps. They want to keep innovating, and I guess at some point you need to draw the line of like, right, that's good enough. We need to involve other people. Like we need to put it out there, see if it's actually like worth it or if we got something. And they actually have good returns on like what they need to do next. So the vision for .NET Aspire is to add a .NET, an Aspire CLI to enable integration in CI/CD pipelines, improve deployments and testing features, as we said, extending support with Kubernetes and Docker to compose. That's what Aspire 8 does, but it's like a community that brought up this project before and it allows you to target Kubernetes and Docker Compose, but without them, it wouldn't be possible.
I did see a link like this morning about XUnit to Aspire endpoints for end-to-end testing, but it was very, very new. So.
Okay, cool. Nice. So yeah, a big there's still things that we brought up, and until the next of the year, the end of the year, sorry, that's what they aimed to release a lot new features by the end of the year. I saw a last interview from David Fowler. He's one of the big guys leading that project. Of course, Microsoft, so full support of all the other Azure cloud services. Today, Azure Functions is in preview, but it's probably going to change. When they tag things in preview, you're sure that when it's stable, it wouldn't be the same. And so that's why they allow themselves to have a different release cycle than the current .NET release cycle. So they want to be able to have breaking changes and to keep them innovating. And so they have different support release cycle as well, which means only the latest version is supported. So if you have tomorrow, if it comes from 9.2 to 9.3, then you better move to 9.3 to get some support. All right, I think it's time to wrap it up. Some key takeaways. So yeah, Aspire is the platform for distributed application and provide tooling with an opinionated task. Remember as a service default for immediate resiliency and observability, as we saw. Something I haven't shown you, but with just the service default, it configures the OpenTelemetry, and you can actually plug that into application insights for your Azure, on your Azure. So you can do that without even involving the app host. I just wanted to mention that. Host for local development to abstract configuration and reduce time to F5. And finally, the service discovery to get our connection strings as names. That's it. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you guys for the organization as well. I think I migrated here last August, and I felt like it was the first meetup I joined in, and it was nice to meet you guys. So I'm very happy to have been able to talk to you tonight. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Nils.
Time for questions.
Any more questions for Nils?
Yeah, at what point do you think it becomes worth it to have Aspire in your project? Like if all you've got is a front end and a back end API and a database, do you think at that point it's worth it, or how many distributed app components do you think you need to have for it to be a really good experience and worth the effort?
Yeah, that's a good question. And what are the indicators too? So I might repeat the question as well. The question was, when do you think? I'm going to rephrase it. Sorry, but when is it good enough? Is it good enough today? If you have a front end and a back end and a database, is it good enough today to suggest it as a viable solution? Is it?
Does it add much, and does it add a lot of benefit to you if you don't really have a distributed app or solution? It's only like a few components.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think.
Well, how's it help you?
How does it help you? But
The traces.
yeah, and like, what are the arguments? Sorry.
The traces will give you value.
traces. Yeah, and I feel like
Database queries or something.
yeah, and it feels like what are the problems you can see in your team that today you are having trouble with. If you keep falling onto those failing calls, but you know they are transient because of certain like aspect of your business, a certain way the environment is set up, or if you have specific command to do with specific like parameters and you want to facilitate the onboarding, like that's an aspect as well where Aspire has value. So yeah, facilitate onboarding, and if your CI/CD pipeline is pretty straightforward, then yes, I think it's already pretty good.
Just setting up open telemetry for a dev. Most people don't have the full suite of open telemetry UI tools.
Yeah.
It's a lot of faff to get, choose your open telemetry viewer here, right? So things like Jaeger and Restlet, right? And the fact that it's an F5 experience, so it's already there and plumbed. And anything else that has open telemetry can easily be plumbed into it. So.
Plus, it's one of those things where every team member, what I found in Brisbane is there's always this, the DevOps will do this later, and then you realise you're the DevOps. So this kind of like automates your life. This gives you a win.
Mm.
It's not going to be resilient. It's not going to hold up to pen testing and things like that out of the box. But it'll get you through the gate so that when you sit down with the adult in the room and say, "Are you the DevOps?"
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not the adult, but yeah.
Yes, that's right. So it just said like that it's also a good introduction to containers if you haven't been able to come across it, because yeah, it does a lot of heavy lifting for you, and once you've learned enough and you want to get away from it for your business purpose, then but you can just change the way you are setting up things. Instead of using the standard integration, you can start tweaking it up. So yeah.
But I would say the downside of Aspire as opposed to writing your
I'm just gonna bring so that people can hear the question.
The downside at the moment of .NET Aspire as opposed to writing your own Docker Compose file is that in Aspire it doesn't run inside a Docker container.
That's good, yes.
And whereas at least with when you run a Docker Compose file, your application is running inside a container, it is spinning it up, it is running the debugger attached to it, whereas Aspire does not do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just a word of warning, like when you come to deploy your application and you're going, why doesn't this path work?
Look, I did that once, but I've been living on it for 10 years.
Well, sorry, it was me. Yeah, so it's just about being aware of that. I love Aspire, I think it's great, but just to be that awareness. And on a Twitter chat with Fowler and Damien about it, saying, why can't we have that deployed into a Docker container and run it locally?
Yeah.
Just haven't got there yet, because that's a tools department of the Visual Studio. You can if you want, but you've got to write your own thing.
I'm sure there's something open source to do that.
There is, one of the guys did it, but it's just like, oh yeah, now I've got to go off and figure out how I've got to use that and,
Just go to ChatGPT.
oh, hallucinating, yes.
Hey, it gets the job done.
No, the scary one was what Damon was talking about on a chat the other day, where he's like, GitHub is auto PR completion, Git Copilot right now.
Yeah. But the other one aspect that I've noticed with
Come back. Come back.
Fire and using SQL Server in a Docker container is that while the latest release had you could specify your lifetime value of your project or that third-party Docker, even though you're saying like persist whatever it is for SQL Server, you've got to go in, find the connection string that it created, connect to it in SQL Server Management Studio. But as soon as you stop Aspire, then it's kind of like, even though SQL Server is still running in the Docker container, it's like, okay, I've lost my connection now, which is a real pain. So I actually ditched referencing SQL Server in Aspire and just have SQL Server running in my own Docker container
That's-
outside.
That crosses over. That's what I mean. Like the joke aside, like the end conclusion of this is this gets you to that point where
Yeah.
because the main thing as a developer, your main focus is I need to solve business domain problems
Yeah.
today. I don't want to set up costs. So this
Yeah.
will get you through that emulation pipeline.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that CI/CD, long-term production grade, resilience, all that
You
above,
won't use it.
you probably flip to Kubernetes or something like that because you need to drain, because otherwise you're going to be paying through the roof on uptime on these sort of components that don't need to live all the time. They're kind of ad hoc relationships. So with Kubernetes, you can then drain them and breathe life back into them on a need-to-have basis. But that's like page 5.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Page 5 of the plan.
I'm-
URLs are configured in the builder, right? So it's very easy
Yeah.
to switch between
Yeah,
my
yeah.
local instance, my dev container, my
Yeah.
container instance, and my cloud instance, right?
This,
So,
this,
yeah.
like for me, for the last 10 years, I've personally been in the hot seat of just having to set up these environments with devs all the time. And the amount of times where I come into a team and I see this problem, and they're like, set it up, and I spend probably 3 months explaining DevOps before we get to the business domain stuff. So this kind of like shortcuts that.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question is, when you have a team of people that you know cloud enabled, so you go from the brownfield ASP, MVC, or web form world, let's face it, Brisbane's full of that. You can shoot a shotgun into the street and hit 50 projects. You have to somehow move that to the cloud, which means you have to change a lot of patterns and behaviors of developers, meaning that you just can't be chatting with the database. If yours is in Cosmos DB, that RU unit's going to be a cache register open and closed every 5 seconds. So you have to kind of change your behaviors and patterns. And just moving that mentality to the cloud means that you have to set up an environment with something like ASP and Aspire just to get you across that finish line. So you can come back to, now let's cut back on our batch. Let's do batch processing. Let's do not singular, transactional, whatever. So it really ticks the boxes.
So
Oh,
you've retrofitted Aspire into an existing like application.
I've abused the shit out of it. You never want to follow along with what I've done with it. I've got things where Damien's like, that was not on the tin, Scott. I've looked at it, because I've had this problem. I've been using Helm charts on Kubernetes and Docker containers, and look, I know how it works, but then
Me not.
he won't. And, because you're a React developer. So it just becomes a problematic scenario because, like I said, because our objective is to get you from brownfield to greenfield. In other words, put the indicator on and start spinning up your cloud-based solution, which is you have to focus on new business problems and adopt React for the first time, especially if you're doing React websites with Kendo UI or something like that, right? So you have to kind of come across. And all of this shit gets in the way. You want to get them out of that headspace into what they need to do, and everybody's on the same environment variable, I guess,
Right.
all the projects you have. And so if you face a team like that and you know you have to be in the cloud and you're the point lead on moving someone to the cloud for the first time, I don't care if it's got the word alpha next to its name, I would run it as 100 miles an hour just so you can get some breathing room. And then to the other person's point around URLs, then you can figure out in the DevOps conversation, like, hey, you start hot swapping things out that are immature or not ready for production.
Yeah.
My feeling is the goal post here is they will move it to the point where you go, look, ma, no hands, and just sets up a resource group and everything just flows because it hasn't changed much since I left the company, but we used to love our embrace and extend model. So we'll embrace you and then we'll extend you.
Yeah, one of the parts that I do like about Aspire is that I've introduced Dapper into the mix for the microservices, and it works really, really nicely with it.
Yeah, that
The ramp up to try and use Dapper without Aspire is huge, just because of what you need to do, all the scripts you need to write in order to run your application or your services, whereas this just makes it seamless.
Plus, you've got SQL injection problems if you don't use Dapper, because you have to
Alright,
kind of
we're
come
talking
down
about
and
the APR versus.
DAPR. Oh, you've got to have like lots of really great names, you know, like you've got to repeat the acronym sounds.
How many Unities can you name?
Exactly.
I like
Yeah.
games. What?
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that, like anybody's looking at from a microservices point of view, introducing Dapper, it's really nice because it's just like with Dapper Sidecar, done.
It's a sidecar.
That's another time for
See, I
another.
kept that bluff. I kept that. Sorry.
Cool.
Any other questions? Someone wants to come after
Was there a
that?
question or a statement? Or whether we're both tag team and soapbox in there, I think.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like we've got some people who can give a level 200 or 300 talk. Following. Well, thank you very much, Nils. Obviously, that was very informative, really interesting. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us tonight.
Pleasure.
We're always looking for presenters. Obviously, we've had a 6-month hiatus, so we're a little bit low on presenters at the moment. We haven't been able to ask for much recently, but if anyone has any kind of topic that they were thinking of talking about, or they have a talk up their sleeve, or they want to try give a practice talk at all, please hit us up. You can reach us through the Meetup group. You can also reach us on LinkedIn as well. There's .NET user group LinkedIn, Brisbane.NET user group LinkedIn as well. Or if you know Todd, myself, Cam, you can reach out to us directly as well. We're on various Slack instances and all over various socials as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn's fine. Just if anyone wants has a .NET talk, and I'd love to hear about it. So
Yeah.
message me on LinkedIn.
DVD's only 5 months away.
Yeah.
It's pretty
You don't have to worry about having to give an hour-long or 2-hour-long presentation. If you've got a little 10, 15-minute talk that you kind of want to practice up your sleeve, reach out to us. We can certainly have a night where we've got a bunch of small talks as well. So any ideas that you've got, do reach out. We can assist you with sort of fleshing out your ideas further if you want. We can help you prepare your presentation to an extent. We're not going to build it for you. Likewise, sponsorship. We're always looking for sponsors as well. Sponsorship is usually like $200-ish for a bunch of pizzas and some drinks and garlic bread. It doesn't have to be that. You can sponsor with whatever you want to cater for on the night. We've had people who've provided burgers and sushi and all sorts of stuff, which is always nice for a bit of a difference. If you want to sponsor, you can get up and spruik yourself. Like, you don't have to be giving a full talk. You can spruik yourself. Say, hey, we're looking for devs, or we're interested in doing this or that. So you're welcome to do all that too. So likewise, reach out to us in the various places that we're available. Otherwise, I don't think we've got anything teed up next month, but knowing that there are some DDDs coming up and hopefully people are putting in some presentations, do reach out if you've got a talk that you want to present, and you can practice them here before you do DDD. It's obviously a really safe space, and we try to shut down any naysayers or people heckling or anything like that. So we try to keep it a safe space. But otherwise, thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate everyone coming along.